Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. Today I am joined with my friend ToadBrews for another episode of Magic Talk with Toad. Uh, Once again, we're going over value vintage, which is just vintage, but with a $30 budget restriction. So the entire deck and sideboard has to be $30. It is considered a Brewers Paradise. And if you've been keeping up with the channel, which I recommend, our past few videos have been value vintage, and we have some other cool stuff value vintage in the pipeline. So today we have two decks that we have brewed up, one of which includes some new Final Fantasy cards, or a new Final Fantasy card, and one of which Toad has been tinkering with that might be on the cutting edge of a well-known value vintage archetype. How are you today, Toad?
I am pretty good. I've just been tinkering with Decklists.
Hell yeah. We do hope you're doing well, viewer, and thank you for watching. So let's get into it. We have this first list, which I call Coin Control, though it's more of a mid-range deck. But Coin Control is alliterative, and I like it more.
Why don't you call it money midrange?
Shit, you're right. Money mid-range. So this is a mid-range reanimator list that focuses on trying to slow down the early game or cycle some big creatures and then cheat them out with life, death, or coin of fate. Oh, I need to share my screen with you, Toad. A minute. Here. 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 Problem solved. There you go. Now you can see what I'm doing. So, tell us some of your thoughts. You and I worked on this list and got a bunch of ideas together yesterday, and this is the somewhat finished version.
Troll of Khazad-dûm plus Life Death is kind of a neat little package that fits into any black deck. But this deck is really leaning in on that being the strategy. So we've got more cycling guys, and we've also got the coin as another reanimation spell.
The coin.
Why don't you tell them what the coin does?
So this is a new Final Fantasy card from, I think, the Final Fantasy VI deck. It's Coin of Fate. It's 1 and a white for an artifact. When this artifact enters Surveil 1, you can pay 3 and a white to tap it, exile 2 creature cards in your graveyard, which you need to do, so you need to have 2 creatures in your graveyard. Sacrifice this artifact. An opponent chooses one of the exiled cards, you put that card on the bottom of your library, and return the other to the battlefield tapped. You become the monarch. So, the general gameplay of it is you play Coin of Fate turn 2 and try to make sure you have Angel of the Ruins, Generous End, or Troll of Khazad-dûm in the graveyard, and then another one of those 2 in the graveyard. And then turn 4, you sacrifice it as long as your graveyard is not being messed with, which is a little bit more common than we'd like, but that's what we do on turn 3 with either the Vindicator or Inquisition. Inquisition early game to try to get the interaction and graveyard stuff out of their hand, and Vindicate to get it out off the battlefield. And so you get Coin of Fate and try to get one of those creatures out, and the other one you just put in the bottom of your library, so higher chance of drawing it again with Phyrexian Arena, which, you know, it's not great to get it from the bottom of your library, but like all of the cycling stuff shuffles.
All the cycles shuffle. And Coin of Fate is an instant speed activation. So once you have the coin down, you don't really need to tap out on your turn because you've got instant speed removal that you can hold up. You've got the coin, you've got cycling effects. And then if you need to, you can play the hand disrupting stuff on your turn.
Hmm. Then we just have Swords of Plowshares for some basic removal, Vindicate to get rid of the graveyard hate stuff. Vexing Bauble just because it's a kind of necessary one of. Soul Ring because speed. And you can do some pretty nutty stuff on turn 1 if you get the nut hand. Then Phyrexian Arena to draw, like I said. And then we have 2 plains, 5 swamps because it's a swamp heavy deck. 3 Canopy Vistas, which I feel comfortable playing. Toad wanted 2, but I think with Generous and the life, half of life death, which we won't be casting life a whole lot. We're not going to be casting life a whole lot. It's not the point. We're not going to cast life. We're going to cast death. But in some of those grindier control matchups where they don't have a whole lot of anything but no creatures, and we don't have a whole lot of anything and no creatures, we can animate our lands until end of turn and just beat them to death with it. Not irrelevant. Not likely, but not irrelevant. And then Shine...
Yeah, like it is usually like an extra 4 or 5 attackers, which could matter, but usually we're going to be reanimating.
And then Shine Shadow Snow, we can reveal all of our lands except for Isolated Chapel. And then Isolated Chapel is just good ramp. In the sideboard, we have Shatter the Sky, which is just good board wipe for the grindier games. Disruptor Flute for spot selection stuff. So the ideal is you get them with Inquisition, pick a card, play Disruptor Flute. Weather Storm to gain life on some of the combo games. Leyline of the Void to nuke their graveyard in case we're up against something like Dredge or whatever. And then Deafening Silence, again, to nerf combo decks. We can play through Deafening Silence. It's hard, but like it's not impossible. We have a lot of creatures, and we need to focus on one spell.
Yeah, and we do, again, we have a lot of instant speed stuff, so a lot of our stuff is abilities. We don't get locked out too hard by only casting one spell per turn.
Yeah, it's no big deal. So that's kind of what it is. We went over that pretty fast. We can go over individual cards that are like important to talk about, and then we can do some test hands. Tidehollow, Sculler, and Deep Cavern Bat also act as hand disruption. They're a little bit more vulnerable, but usually
they're a little bit more vulnerable, but they're also reanimatable.
Yeah.
And they're creatures, so they help us double spell with Deafening Silence in play.
Mm-hmm. I'm tempted to do Deafening Silence for the main board, but it definitely feels like more of a sideboard card.
Yeah, there's a lot of matchups where it just does nothing. You don't want to have it in the deck.
Yeah. But it's still relevant. Thinking of which, how would we sideboard this? Just for various matchups. Like, what are some cards to take out? What are some cards to put in?
If the opponent is not doing anything that Vexing Bauble stops, you can easily cut Vexing Bauble. If the opponent is a deck with a lot of creature removal, so like you expect to play a Scholar and then they have 3 removal spells and they just kill your Scholar anyway, then the Scholar and the Bat are not great, and depending on the matchup, you might have something better to sideboard in. Obviously, if the opponent's not really running a lot of creatures, you can cut Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah.
I would not cut the Cyclers or the reanimation stuff. That's kind of where your deck is going. Just you would want to trim on the other stuff. And If you don't have really strong sideboard stuff to bring in, just don't mess with the deck.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, against something like High Tide, you're going to want Deafening Silence, and maybe you don't need all the Swords to Plowshares.
So what do you think the deck's worst matchup would be?
You just don't want to deal with the really fast combo decks. Like, you have stuff for them. You're running 11 hand disruption spells and a Vexing Bauble. So it's not like you just lose to combo. But if you Inquisition them and they have 2 Cascade spells, that's probably going to be a rough game. You do have a reasonable matchup against Living End and Hypergenesis, just because you have a bunch of big creatures that you can also get into play. But something like Rhinos, we don't really have a sweeper main deck. So you really are hoping for either a good Inquisition or a good Vexing Bauble on turn 1.
Yeah.
Also against just regular control decks, like if they have a bunch of counters and Swords to Plowshares and Shatter the Skies, it's going to be hard to keep a creature in play because you really need them to not have any removal left after you've used your turn 1, turn 2 discard. And if you go turn 1 Inquisition of Swords, turn 2 Deep Cavern, Shatter the Sky, and they just hit another removal spell, then they're pretty well set up to handle whatever you do for the next couple of turns.
Yeah.
But if the opponent is trying to make like small creatures, even if they have flying, it doesn't really matter. If they're just like trying to make 2 power, 3 power creatures, then we can handle that very easily. If the opponent is a mid-range deck that doesn't really have a combo plan B, we're going to just have bigger creatures than them. We're going to take their disruption with our disruption, and we're going to stick a 5/7 or a 6/5.
Yeah.
We also can become the Monarch against the control matchups. So we do have a plan there. We have Monarch and Phyrexian Arena. So there's a chance that we can just start drawing enough cards to pull through whatever disruption and counters they can manage. But we do really want to play against the aggro and mid-range decks. Maybe a little bit of control, try to dodge the really super intense combo matchup.
Yeah.
But that's why we have Deafening Silence in the board. Deafening Silence is a pretty expensive card budget-wise, but in a deck like this, it's really, really good to be able to bring it in.
For sure. Well, we went over that pretty fast. Let's do some test. Oh, there are some cards we were considering.
Yeah, we've got Phyrexian Censor if we want some more Rule of Law type effects. We've got Duress is more discard. Tide Hollow Scholar, more discard. The last copy of Vindicate. We were looking at Planeswalkers before we decided to go with Phyrexian Arena. The best one that we found was Liliana the Last Hope, and she's a little bit expensive. Not unreasonably expensive, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Leyline, we decided that we didn't need because we have enough hand disruption that we should be able to stop our opponent's hand disruption.
Hmm. Also,
and we're not really worried about burn a lot with this deck.
yeah. I'm a little worried about burn, but there's not a whole lot of burn value vintage list.
It does exist, but it's a very small part of the metagame.
Yeah. Alright, let's test some hands. We go to the bottom. This is bad.
Yeah, this is a one-lander. We do have the Generosent to find a Canopy Vista, but it will come into play tap. So we're going to play tapped land turn 1, turn 2 land cycle tap land. So we're just not really doing anything in the first 2 turns.
Yeah.
And then we also don't have a third land unless we cycle Angel of the Ruin. So then we're again tapped out on turn 3. And we don't have, we just don't have like a lot of great stuff going on here. We have 1 hand disruption spell that's not enough on its own. We have 1 removal spell,
Yeah.
like Vindicate for something, but that's really clunky. We want to save those for later in the game. And most importantly, we don't have a reanimation spell. So like the deck isn't going to do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. Let's go to another 7 and see how we're looking. Again, same problem.
Yeah, again, no mana. We really want a couple mana and a couple land cyclers.
Let's go to 6. No.
This is no. This is fine because we're going to have all 3 colors and we get a cycle on turn 1 instead of on turn 2.
You want to try this and go to 6?
Let's try this and go to 6, and we can put back one of the Swords to Plowshares.
Okay. Swords to Plowshares, move to the Bomb Library. Turn 1, play Swamp. Cycle Generous End. Generous End goes to the yard.
Yep.
Or do we do that at the end of their turn?
We would probably do it at the end of their turn, but we don't have an opponent, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. We view all. There we go. And we look for, where is it? Campy Vista. Close and shuffle. Next turn, Coin of Fate. Play Campy Vista tapped.
Yep. So this is rough because we haven't really done anything to disrupt the opponent on turn 1 or 2. But we are going to disrupt them on turn 3. So if we were on the play, this might be okay.
Yeah. Alright. Let's see what the next turn looks like. Generous Hand.
Alright, so we can cycle Generous End and find another Canopy Vista. No, Drew. Look at your hand.
Oh, yeah. Whoops. View all. Campy Vista. And then we're going to play that for turn and tap.
We're going to play that for turn. And then I'm assuming that at this point we would have to use Swords to Plowshares.
Cool. There's the swords.
Because we've got to interact with the opponent somehow by turn 3.
Yeah. Alright, let's go next turn. This... We can't. It'll be tapped.
It'll be tapped, but we can play Tide Hollow Scholar.
Play Scholar, take a card.
Yep.
And next turn. Inquisition.
So we're going to Inquisition them.
That's Coin of Fate. There's Inquisition. Inquisition.
And we're going to play the coin.
The coin! Surveil 1. View top card. Source of Plowshares. That seems like a graveyard.
Let's put that on top. No. We want to have a removal spell.
Okay.
And then we probably are just going to pass.
Cool.
So now we're just going to pass again.
Okay.
And then on our opponent's end step, or if they try to attack us, we will use the coin.
Use the coin.
So it would depend on what they're attacking us with, because we don't want to become the monarch and then just give it to them.
Yeah.
But if they're attacking us with like a 4/4, then we can put a Generous in out.
Yep. And opponent chooses when there's still a card upon the library and the other end of the battlefield tapped. Oh, it's tapped, which is annoying.
No, I didn't realize that. Yeah, that is rough. So this is really just going to be an end of turn thing. So we're going to do it at the opponent's end step. And then the coin goes to the graveyard.
Coins in the yard and we get a food.
And we get a food and we become the monk.
Accidentally shuffled. The wrong button. Hat token. Monarch. Next turn.
Let's go ahead and put down the Phyrexian Arena.
Phyrexian Arena.
And let's go ahead and use the Swords Plowshares.
Use the swords.
And we're going to attack with the end, because we're probably okay on board with it.
Attack with the end. Deal 5.
And we're going to go to the end step and draw for Monarch.
Draw Isolated Chapel. And then can't do it on their turn. Do we want to assume they take care of the Tide Hollow Sculler?
If they take care of the Tide Hollow Scholar, they're probably taking care of the Ant too.
Okay.
So our goal is to make it so that they can't take care of the Tide Hollow Scholar.
Okay.
Do they have a removal spell? We don't know. Like, that's the weakness of this kind of goldfishing. You just don't know what the opponent has.
Yeah. Let's assume they don't then. Do we assume they take the Monarch? Because we're not blocking with the Scholar.
Drew, we can't assume anything.
I'm going to assume they get the Monarch.
You just can't assume anything. You don't have the information.
Cool. Let's just say they get the Monarch, because we only have one thing. We drew Coin of Fate, and then we drew Coin of Fate.
And with Phyrexian Arena.
Oh yeah, we do get a Phyrexian Arena. We draw one and lose a life. That's up there. Go that. Lose a life. So we want to do Isolated Chapel or Swamp?
Isolated Chapel taps for more colors of mana.
Isolated Chapel.
And then we would Inquisition them.
Inquisition them?
And then we would play a coin.
Play a coin. Let's attack and get Monarch back. And end a turn. Draw Troll of Khazad-dûm. And it's their turn. Do we want to cycle Troll or tap the food?
We would probably want to cycle the Troll so that we can get more creatures in the graveyard.
Cycle the Troll. Look for a swamp. There's a swamp. They take the Monarch, because we still only have 2 creatures. Next turn, we draw Isolated Chapel, and we draw Coin of Fate. Lose a life.
We just draw all the coins.
Play Isolated Chapel.
What do we have in the graveyard as far as creatures?
We have Troll of Khazad-dûm, Inquisition, Swords, Coin, Inquisition, Swords. We only have 1 creature.
Play a coin.
Okay. Play a coin. Surveil 1. View top card. Angel of the Ruins. Hey, that's pretty good.
Hey, look, it's another creature.
Move your graveyard.
At this point, we probably want to attack, but like it would really depend on what the opponent has.
Let's not take the Monarch because they probably have more critters. Go to their turn. They attack. They draw a card. Activate coin.
Yup.
Activate coin. View all. Angel of the Ruins. Troll. Again, we're goldfishing, so we can't assume. Which one do they think would be the least dangerous? Probably Angel.
90% of the time they're giving us troll.
They're going to give us Troll.
Do they want to lose their artifacts and/or enchantments?
Okay. Move to bottom.
Most decks in this format have permanents that Angel would destroy.
Got it.
Or exile.
Next turn. And draw indicate.
Okay, at this point, I think we just win the game. If this is the board that we have and the hand that we have and the opponent hasn't killed us yet, the game is over.
Okay. We will indicate their strongest thing. Swords one of their critters. Swing those two, that's 11.
No, just swing everything.
Swing everything, that's 13.
Like, we just killed 2 creatures. They're not going to have any reasonable blockers left.
End of turn, we draw a card.
There's no end of turn. They are dead at this point.
Okay. And then go to here again. Let's check the next hand. Campy Vista, Bauble, Swords, Angel, Inquisition, Arena, Troll.
This is fine.
This is fine.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to play Canopy Vista. Pass the turn.
Okay.
We're going to Swamp Cycle the Troll.
Swamp Cycle Troll. View all. Swamp, play the swamp. Inquisition.
And then, well, it really depends. Like, most of the time we're going to play Inquisition, but if the opponent had played a double land, like one of the invasion double sack lands, then we might play Bauble, because those are usually in Cascade. Or if they had played a border post, we might play Vexing Bauble, because that is usually in Restore Bow. But I think we do play the Inquisition.
Let me find something. So, Inquisition, assume that. Ah, my mouse is back weird. They lose a card. Goes our turn. Hit the swamp. Play Arena? Or play the swamp and play Arena?
I think we do play the swamp, and then I would actually tap a swamp for Vexing Bauble.
Tap a swamp for Vexing Bauble.
And then we pass to the opponent's turn.
Okay.
So this is really, again, depending on the matchup. We would either be playing Swords to Plowshares if the opponent is on an aggro mid-range type thing, or we would be cycling the angel if the opponent is more control or if they're building for a combo.
Okay.
So I would say just cycle the Angel of the Ruins, because even if they're a more creature-based deck, the Angel's going to give us a second white mana next turn, so we could hold up both swords if we needed to.
Okay. Next turn, Canopy Vista. I just want to tap because we can do the basics.
Yep, we do. Play Arena and Sword something.
Play Arena. Sword something.
So this start, I think, has been somewhat reasonable against any matchup.
Yeah.
Like, we've got one piece of hand disruption, one piece of creature removal, one stacks piece for the Cascade decks. So we're not doing great against anything, but we're also not just stone dead.
Yeah.
It's really going to depend on what we draw on the next turn.
Yeah. So next turn, we draw Ice of the Chapel and we draw Inquisition.
Okay, great. So we're going to play the Chapel. We're going to Inquisition them. Honestly, we could just play another Arena.
Play another Arena. And then do a sword. We assume we sword something too, just in case?
Yeah, probably.
Sword's the thing. Next turn. Draw.
And do start keeping track of our length, because with 2 arenas and a life death deck, it's kind of mad.
We're at 17 life. We draw a Troll, Generosant, and Angel of the Ruins.
Hilarious. Which one of these do we want to cast? I think we want to cast the Troll and the Ent. So let's plane cycle the Angel and just find the last Canopy Vista.
Angel of the Ruins. View all. Canopy Vista. Right there. We'll play it for turn.
Yeah. At this point, depending on matchup, we could sack the Vexing Bauble to draw a card and look for a Bat or a Scholar or a Life Death.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do that just to see what would happen if that was the matchup we were at.
And we draw swords. That's not too bad.
All right. Yeah, just cast the swords.
Swords.
Like if we were playing against a dedicated control deck or like Doomsday or something, then we might not be casting these swords.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that when we play some actual Cockatrice games later.
Yeah. And that'll be the next episode. So if you're watching this, it'll probably be out on Tuesday, July 8th. The gameplay video, which will be streaming next, but releasing next, will be Tuesday, July 15th. Ideally. Some things might change, but that's tentatively the schedule. Alright, next turn. Do we want to keep Troll and Ent in our hand or cycle them?
Yeah, those are castable now. We've got 6 mana.
Next turn. Draw 1. Lose 2 life. We're at 15. Isolate Chapel. Life Death. Indicate. Play Chapel.
Okay. Play the Chapel. Vindicate something.
1, 2, 3. Indicate.
Play a Life Death.
Life Death.
If they're on like Affinity or something, then we would grab the Angel, but I think we're just going to grab the Ent.
Troll, Inquisition.
Or no, we don't have any.
We have Troll, Angel, and Angel.
Yeah, grab the Angel. And we're going to actually take out one of our own Phyrexian arenas at this point.
We lose 7. We're at 8. We nuke one of their things, and we nuke one of ours. Next turn. I clicked the turn burn, whatever. We drew Deep Cavern Bat, and we drew a Swamp.
Yep. So we're gonna play a swamp. We're gonna play Generous Scent.
Do you want to play the Deep Cavern Bat first, just a hand check? We'll still have mana for the end. I think.
If you want to, yeah.
Ant is 6. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we have enough. Bat for hand check, and then 6 for the end. And then Swing with the Angel. Next turn. We should have gotten.
We got a coin.
We should have had a food too.
Yeah, we have a food. And then we draw another card from Arena and lose away.
It's a coin.
Alright, let's play a coin.
White and a black. Coin. Surveil 1. View top card. Phyrexian Arena.
Probably in the graveyard.
Move to graveyard. Do you want to sack the food just to keep ourselves alive?
Yeah.
Pay 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. We're at 9. Swing out. That's 11. They've already taken 5, so that's 16.
What do we have in the graveyard as far as creatures right now?
Troll and Angel.
Okay, so we do have a coin target situation.
Yep. Yes, we do.
So I think we would pass to the opponent's turn.
Let them do their thing, and then tap stack the coin in response.
Yep. Well, it comes in tap, so we figured out that we can't really respond to anything with it.
Yeah. Coin. View all. Get Troll and Angel.
Yep, they're probably gonna give us the Troll.
Then you get moved to the bottom. And then our turn, we swing out and win.
Yeah, we can play the Angel if they have like monitors or anything.
We draw another card and lose a life for an 8. Play that. Play out the Angel, nuke their stuff, and we win. Nice. Let's do.
Alright, so do you want to talk about? Let's talk about the next deck.
Hi, Questioning Photograph. Thank you for joining us. Hello, excited to see and learn more about Value Vintage. Yeah, so this is a deck we're working on. We'll give the short of it. It's like a weird mid-range reanimator list where we cycle Angel of the Ruins, Generous Scent, and Troll of Khazad-dûn to get lands, and then we do Death from Life Death and reanimate them. Or with the Final Fantasy card, we do Coin of Fate, which lets us surveil a card, and then at instant speed, we can pay 3 and a white to sacrifice and exile 2 cards from a graveyard, which is a must, so there has to be 2 in there. Sacrifice the artifact, opponent chooses one of the exiled cards, and puts it on the field, and puts one exiled card in the bottom of the library. And that's the general game plan. We have stuff like Inquisition to shred their hand, Vindicate to remove permanents, Swords to remove creatures, Tidehauler Sculler to hand check, Deep Cavern Bat to hand check, Soul Ring for speed, Vexing Bauble because it's a meta pick, Phyrexian Arena draw cards because this deck doesn't draw great, 2 plains, 5 swamps, 3 Canopy Vistas, 4 Shine Shadow Snarls, 4 Isolated Chapels, and on the side we have Shatter the Sky for the Grindeer matchups, Disruptor Flute after we hand check them, Weather the Storm for combo, Land of the Void for graveyard focus decks, and Deafening Silence also for combo. So that's kind of the rundown of it. Did I miss anything?
I don't believe so.
Alright. What were you saying?
I was saying we can probably go ahead and go to the next deck.
Okay. Thanks. Glad you think it looks cool. Let me make sure we're still recording. I think we're still recording. Alright, now to the next deck. So
Now, this one, unfortunately, is not a Final Fantasy deck.
yeah.
I know that people like to see the Final Fantasy cards, but we just couldn't fit any in here. It's very sad. I did try World Map. It was good, but limited space in the deck, and we're pretty tight on budget. We've got a nickel left
this
on
says
this guy.
on this version it says we have $1. Let me check the.
Well, I don't know what you're on. I'll send you the link.
Oh, you renamed it. It's Extraordinary Machine. Yeah, there's a nickel left.
So as it is, we do not have any budget wiggle room. We're maxed out on everything. But this is a very fun build. We're basically combining my Zerta deck that I've been working on with 12 Post, Golos 12 Post.
Interesting.
And this is a combo deck, not just a big mana ramp deck. So, you want to go through everything for the people?
Yeah, give me a second. Cool. So we have Timeless Dragon, which is a fun card.
It's mana. You plane cycle and then you get eternalize, or you can just cast it if the game is going long enough that you have plenty of mana. Like once you have a couple of white mana, you're mostly hoping to play Loci with your land drop, so you don't really want to plane cycle. You just get to play a 5/5.
Mm-hmm.
And then Steel Hellkite, also a dragon. Very notably, we have 7 large flyers that don't get hit by power word kill.
Yeah.
So that's pretty relevant. 5/5 flyer again. We've got some destroy stuff effects on the Steel Hellkite. So if the opponent is really clustered up on 1 or 2 mana permanents, you can punish them for that.
Yeah.
And it also can pay 2 colorless mana to get +1 power. So sit on that for a minute. We'll come back to it.
Oh, also the companion is Zerta. The companion's not set.
Yep, we've got another Zerta in the sideboard, and everything in this deck is Zerta compliant.
Could you set Zerta as the companion just so it's a little bit easier to see?
I guess I don't know how to do that, girl.
There's a little thing where it says like set as companion.
He's a companion in our hearts.
There you go. You did it. I knew you could do it, and you did it.
I did it. I did the thing. All right, so Zerta's our companion, and then we've got 3 other Zertas in case that one dies. Zertas are a dime a dozen these days.
They're 50 cents a dozen.
Close enough. That's because of inflation.
Search Rule 34 Zerta inflation.
So Zerta requires us to have activated abilities on all of our permanents in the deck, which we do. Planes count as having an activated ability. It can make something not block, which probably not relevant, but maybe we need to get a Steel Hellkite through something, so might come up, probably not. But it makes all of our activated abilities cost 2 less mana, down to a minimum of 1 mana.
Yeah. I'm glad you think the deck looks cool, Questioning Photograph.
So all of our permanents have activated abilities, and they're all going to cost 2 less. Golos, Drew, don't jump ahead. Don't spoil it for the children's home.
Golos.
Golos, 5 mana, 3/5, comes in, finds us any land. We've got a couple of singleton lands. We also have the Cloud Post, Glimmer Post, Trench Post engine in the deck.
Uh-huh.
And we've got Monumental Henge, which does a lot of work, and we'll get to that in the land section. Nope, don't jump around. Don't jump around, Joe. We've got 4 Swords to Plowshares. It is the only card in the deck that is not a permanent because you really want to have efficient creature removal. And using something like Brittle Effigy or Avarice Totem is not going to do it against the aggro decks and value vintage. You just have to have the 1 mana answer.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's go down to the artifacts. We've got 1 Bonder's Ornament. This is a artifact with a mana ability. Taps for any color. In this deck, that's going to be weak most of the time. And it also has 4 tap. Each player with a Bonder's Ornament draws a card.
Banded Pauper.
Banded Pauper. Your opponent probably not going to have a Bonder's Ornament. I've been playing this format for a couple months. Haven't seen it. It's not common even in other 12-post decks. So this is just a little one-of artifact that we run. We've got a Pyrite Spellbomb. So this probably doesn't make sense, but as we get to the rest of the cards, I promise it'll make sense. So this is just a 1-mana artifact that has 1 sacrifice Pyrite Spellbomb, draw a card, and red sacrifice Pyrite Spellbomb, 2 damage to any target.
I love KCI.
So we've got a Pyrite Spellbomb just kind of hanging out. We've got 3 Oblivion Stones. This is our board control sweeper type thing. The Steel Hellkite is a backup sweeper. The Oblivion Stones are the main event. These will blow up everything, and if they sit and play for a while, you can start protecting your own stuff. They're really mana hungry, but this is a Cloud Post deck. We're going to be trying to get up to like 15, 18 mana on board. We've got an Elixir of Immortality. So this doesn't make sense. Why would you run this card? Well, we're going to get there. So this is just a 1-mana artifact, 2 tap, shuffle your graveyard and gain 5 life.
And then Energy Refractor.
Energy Refractor, 2-mana artifact, draw a card when you play it, and then 2, add 1 mana of any color. So this is going to turn a bunch of colorless mana into whatever colors we need. We've got a 1 of, yeah.
Yeah, this is a wild deck, and it looks really powerful. We did some testing with it, and it's kind of nutty. So
this is going to give us white mana from our Cloud Posts to cast our Swords to Plowshares and Timeless Dragons and Zerdas. We really want to make sure we have enough white mana to get Zerda, so this is going to help us get that. We've got Vexing Bubble. It's a colorless stacks piece. It has an activated ability. It draws a card. We've got 1 Soul Ring. Just this deck wants a bunch of mana. Soul Ring gives us mana. We've got Retrofitter Foundry. So this card with Zerda makes a lot of tokens very efficiently. You pay 1 and tap, and you make a servo, and then you pay 1 and untap it, and you can just do that as many times as you want. If you don't have Zerda, then we can still make 2 or 3 tokens a turn because of all the Cloud Posts if we get to the mid to late game. So this is going to kind of gum up the ground. So like if the opponent's attacking with non-trampoline creatures, then we're just going to be like, yeah, block that, block over there, maybe make a Thopter, steal the initiative. But really this is in here for when we've got a bunch of mana.
Yeah.
Moon Silver Key can find us a basic plains if we're really in trouble, but mostly it's in here to find artifacts. So it can find Soul Ring, it can find Energy Refractor, it can find Bonder's Ornament, but most importantly, it finds Basalt Monolith, which is a 3-mana artifact, doesn't untap during your untap step, taps for 3 colorless, and untaps itself for 3 colorless.
And
so if you have Zerda, This is infinite colorless mana. And if you have Energy Refractor, this is infinite mana of any color. So all of a sudden, we have infinite mana of any color, at which point we have 3, 5, 7, 8 outlets for infinite mana in the deck, with one being in the lands that we haven't got to yet. So if you have Golo, the main combo is just Retrofitter Foundry. Just make infinite 1/1s. You can turn them into flyers if you need to for some reason. You can turn them into 4/4s if you need to for some reason. But you're gonna make infinite creatures.
Yeah.
The secondary combos are you either make an infinitely large Steel Hellkite and just swing in, or you make an infinitely large Crawling Bear and swing in. Crawling Barons is nice because if the opponent has a bunch of blockers, you can just pop an Oblivion Stone and your Crawling Barons will be fine, and then you just swing in.
Yep, I had that happen to me the other day.
We also, the really fun thing, which is why we have Pyrite Spellbomb and Elixir of Immortality. If you have, and again, this is a lot of permanence. This is not the primary plan of the deck. It just happens to be something that we can do if we have a bunch of our cards in play. Make infinite colorless mana, use Energy Refractor to make every color infinite mana, activate Golos, exile your entire deck, play everything, sack Pyrite Spellbomb, activate Elixir of Immortality, activate Golos, do it again, do it again, do it again. Just burn your opponent out from infinite life. This is relevant if for some reason we can't do the Retrofitter Foundry stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, I have had people Disruptor Flute or Sorcerer's Spyglass by Retrofitter Foundries because that's basically what those cards are for. One of the things about this deck is if the opponent has Pithing Needle effects, and there's a variety of playable ones, they do get to name pretty much anything in the deck and kind of mess with you. But you have answers to that. You have the Oblivion Stones. You have multiple Mana Sinks. So if they play Sorcerer Spyglass and name Retrofitter Foundry, then maybe you can hit them with a Steel Hellkite and just blow up their Sorcerer Spyglass.
Yeah.
So you're very weak to Pithing Needles, but you also have answers to Pithing Needles. We've got the expedition maps, which are going to go find us whatever lands we need. We're not running as many singleton tutor target lands as most Golos decks do because we are running the 8 white sources, and the budget on this is a little bit tight, so we don't have a ton of stuff to run singleton lands. We also don't need a lot of land. It's not unreasonable for a CloudPost deck to run 23 or 24 lands, but because we've got the 4 plane cycling dragons, which we don't usually have in CloudPost, I felt more comfortable going down a couple and focusing more on the artifact.
Yeah.
So as far as lands, we've got 4 basic planes. You plane cycle, you find them, that you get ghost quartered or whatever, which happens rarely in this format, but if the opponent has it, this is the matchup they have it for. You've got 4 monumental hits. So this is why almost everything in the deck is an artifact or a legendary creature. So it comes in tapped. If you have a basic plains, it comes in untapped, taps for white. But you can pay 2 white and tap it. So you're probably going to have an Energy Refractor because you're not usually going to have 3 white sources. Energy Refractor, maybe Bonder's Ornament. But then you just look at your top 5 and you get any artifact or legendary creature.
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah, it's just historic permanent. So if we had sagas, which we don't, or planeswalkers, they could find those. This deck does have some interest in planeswalkers, just there was no room to fit any
Yeah.
with how the budget worked out. Like your flex slots are really like you could cut one energy refractor, you could cut the Bonder's Ornament, you could maybe cut a Retrofitter Foundry, but the way that the deck works, you kind of want to have all of those. Planeswalkers are good, but the colorless ones, you really only get the 6 mana Ugin. And as far as white planeswalkers, most of the good ones are double white, which is a little bit tricky in this deck.
Yeah.
So far, no planeswalkers, but everything except Timeless Dragons, Timeless Dragons, Swords to Plowshares, and the Land you can find with Monumental Henge. So you're finding about half of your deck, and you're looking 5 cards deep. So most of the time you do activate it, you're going to have 2 or 3 choices as to what you want to pick.
Mm-hmm.
So you're finding your Zerdas, you're finding your Basalt Monolith, you're finding your Moonsilver Keys, you're just digging for combo pieces. And once this deck gets rolling, it is not a problem to have a bunch of mana. Like if you are not familiar with 12 post in this format, if your opponent is not messing with your lands with something like Damping Sphere or Land Destruction, you're probably going to start tapping for 15 to 20 mana on it every turn. So tapping Monumental Henge and then having enough left to play Basalt Monolith and Urda if you have an Energy Refractor is totally reasonable. Cloud Post, Glimmer Post, Trench Post. These are just the 3 Locust lands. Glimmer Post gains you life for your locuses or loci. Cloud Post taps for 1 mana for each locust in play. It does count the opponent, so if this deck has mirror matches, they get very silly very quickly. And then Trench Post is a backup win condition. Just mills target player for however many loci are in play.
This is called 12 post. There's only 11 post.
There's actually 15 posts because of the expedition map, and then 17 posts because of the Golos.
But there's
How about them apples?
But there's only 11 posts.
17 posts. 17 post drill. We've got Blast Zone. Blast Zone, very good card. Tutor it up, blow up some 1-drops. You can reasonably take out 2 or 3 drops with this. Past that, it's going to be pretty rough to get it. But really, it is in there for the matchups where you want to take out a bunch of 1-drops. So we have Crawling Barrens, which we talked about before. It's just a colorless creature land that turns infinite colorless mana into infinite +1/+1 counters on the Crawling Barrens. If you're playing against a deck that you think might have Lightning Bolt or Swords to Plowshares, you don't have to make it a creature until you have put as many counters as you want to have on it. So it's not going to be targetable by removal until it has however many counters you're planning to put on it. So if you're activating it at the opponent's instep just to get some free counters, they don't kind of have a removal window on it. And it does get very big very quickly. Like, even if you're not going infinite, if you have a Zerda or if you have a couple Cloud Posts, you can pretty reasonably make this a 10-10 and then just start attacking with it. That's a 12-12, 14-14. It's just a huge threat, and it's going to make the opponent start jump blocking immediately.
Yeah.
Then the last land that we've got, main deck, is the Cascading Cataracts. Taps for colorless. It's indestructible, which is not super relevant, but this deck does get hosed a little bit by like Boom Bust, so incidentally having one of your lands be indestructible is fine. But really, the reason you want this is it turns 5 colorless into 5 mana in any combination of colors. Make one of each color, activate Golos. That's just what it's in here for. You play Golos, you find Cataracts, now you can activate the Golos.
Amazing.
You want to go to the sideboard.
Yeah.
We've got another Oblivion Stone. So if we want to go up to 4 against the aggro or mid-range decks, that's an option We've got the Zerda who's companioning the deck. We've got a couple of lands. We have Castle Ardenvale, which is just tokens. So if we think that the opponent is not going to mess with our lands, but is going to have a bunch of creature removal, we can just make a bunch of 1/1s.
Ah.
We got also a Dust Bowl. So if we play against the mirror match, whoever has the most cloud posts in play usually wins the game. So we can sacrifice planes or crawling barons or even glimmer posts and just destroy the opponent's cloud posts. It also is good for destroying creature lands if the opponent is doing that kind of thing. It's not a huge problem that you run into. You might want it for like standstill, but most of the time they're winning with shark type Doom Cycles and not Mixer's Factories or whatever.
Yeah.
You also can use Dust Bowl against the gate stack. Just take out their Gond Gate, and then their deck becomes much lower. I wouldn't bring it in unless you are specifically trying to answer a problem that you know your opponent is going to do and which you're going to struggle to answer. So your opponent's deck needs to be very land focused. Don't just bring it in because, oh, my opponent has a bunch of non-basic lands. Like, yeah, don't worry about that. Just if the opponent has non-basic lands that they're using to directly beat you and not just cast their spells, that's when you want Dust Bowl. We got 2 Soul Guide Lantern and 3 Calamity's Wake. So these are graveyard removal. The Soul Guide Lantern is a cantrip that we can put in and just find with Monumental Hinge. And then the Calamity's Wake are also a silence effect. So you can bring those in against like High Tide or the Cascade decks where you kind of struggle. You don't have a lot of instant speed interaction in this deck. You're really all in on creatures and artifacts. So anything that you can bring in to actually stop combo decks on their turn is going to be a major win. So Calamity's Wake comes in High Tide, Cascade stuff, Rhinos, Restore Balance is something that can really get you. Lich's Mirror combo. It's not great. Like it is 2 mana, and you do have to have a white source early, which the deck does not do particularly well. But it's interaction in an area you struggle with, so I think it's worth the slots. Seal of Cleansing. 90% of the reason that we want Seal of Cleansing is to deal with Dampening Sphere.
Yeah.
It's going to make our Cloud Post tap for 1. It is going to stop our combo kill. It is going to make it so that we can't cast a map and find a land and tap a land and cast a spell sometimes. Just Dampening Sphere is the best spell against us, like in the format. It's just the best hate that people can bring in. And Seal of Cleansing is an answer for it. It's a permanent with an activated ability, so it doesn't shut off Zerda. The other option is you can just run Disenchant. But I do like the Seal of Cleansings because you can pay for them on a turn where you have extra mana, which after turn 4 or 5, every turn is going to be a turn where you have extra mana. You can just run the Seal of Cleansing out. It's safe from discard effects. If they have their own disenchant effects, you're going to have so many targets for them that they're always going to have a way to use it. So then being able to throw it at your seal doesn't really matter that much. But you have to have in your sideboard answers to Dampening Sphere. Like you've got the Oblivion Stones, but you really want an efficient, targeted answer for those spheres. And then we've got 2 Mishra's Helix. So if the opponent is not on a counterspell deck, or if they are and we think we can run them out of counterspells, then once you stick Mixer's Helix in this deck, the opponent doesn't get to cast non-instant spells. All their lands are going to be tapped. You pay X, you tap it, you tap X lands, you do it in their upkeep every turn for the rest of the game.
Yep.
So that is the deck.
That's evil.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, like, is doing the Zerta stuff better than a regular 12 post deck? I'm not 100% sure. It feels very good. Like, normally this deck would have, like, a couple more land target tutors, one more Golos, and Mirror Battlespheres. I have not been impressed with Mirror Battlesphere in the matchups that I have done in testing in this format. Like, if the opponent is on Swords to Plowshares and Power Word Kill, then it feels pretty good to leave behind 4/1/1s. But usually, what happens to me is the opponent will kill the 4/7, and then they'll have enough creatures that the 1/1s don't matter, or they just play a sweeper.
Yeah.
They play Shatter the Sky. They play Balance is really brutal against this deck, or they just play Artifact Sweepers. Like they play Meltdown or Bifrost and just clean up. And so, Timeless Dragon not being an artifact, like it feels bad for Monumental Henge, but if the opponent is bringing in a bunch of artifact removal, having some 5/5s and 3/3s that are just not artifacts is actually pretty reasonable. Having a Crawling Barrens that dodges artifact hate, pretty reasonable.
Yeah. Seems real good. Let's do
Like just instant speed interaction is something that the 12 post type list just in general struggle with. It's not an exclusive problem for this version of the deck.
Yeah. You do some test. Oh, there's 2 Golos in the deck. I thought there was only 1.
But there, I did manage to fit in 2 Golos. I had to cut my Masticores that I really like in my Zerta decks, but I think in this deck specifically, you do want the Golos.
Okay. Let's look at some test hands and test some goldfish games. We have
This is a mulligan.
well, it's Plains, Glimmer Post, O Stone, Golos, Swords, and Timeless Dragon. Why is it a mulligan?
So we don't have a Cloud Post, and we don't have a way to find a Cloud Post until Golos, which we're not even close to casting.
Okay.
And we also don't have any card draw. So, like, we don't have Energy Refractor to move through the deck a little bit faster. This hand doesn't really do anything. Like, if we need to kill creatures, we've got that, but we don't actually have the mana for those Oblivion Stones. We can get the 3rd mana to cast them, but we're not popping them for quite a while.
Yeah.
We're just going to get run over. This hand does nothing against combo, very little against control. So we're kind of only hoping to play into mid-range with this hand. And even against mid-range, if they have artifact removal for the Oblivion Stones, this hand just folds over.
Got it. Let's do another hand. This seems worse.
This is worse. Yeah, we don't even have the 2nd land.
Let's go to 6.
This is a very good 6.
All right.
So let's play test this one.
Okay, what do we put back?
We're gonna put the Steel Hellkite back.
Okay. Move to Bomba Library.
We're just gonna play Plains, Soul Ring, Energy Refractor.
Soaring. Energy Refractor. Draw a card, we draw Zerta.
Very nice.
Next turn?
Yep.
Next turn.
We're going to play Trench Post and play Bonders on it.
2, 3.
That's 4.
Oh, we have a colorless floating, and we can play that to play the key.
Yep, and we're going to play the Moonsilver Key.
Next turn?
Yep.
Blast Zone.
Play the Blast Zone.
Counter.
So we're going to tap the planes and the ornament in the Blast Zone to cast Zerta.
Zerta.
And we're going to pass the turn.
Pass the turn.
On the opponent's end step, if they don't kill our Zerta, we're going to plane cycle the Timeless Dragon, and we're also going to pop the Moonsilver Key. So we're going to find a Plains and a Basalt Mon.
View all planes and basalt monoliths. Basalt monolith. Close and shuffle.
Okay, then we're going to go to our turn.
Expedition map.
All right, we are going to tap Soul Ring and Blast Zone and play Basalt Monolith.
Basalt monolith.
So now we have Zerta and Basalt, so we have infinite colorless mana. Let's go ahead and play Expedition map.
Do we get infinite mana first?
Yes, we're gonna get infinite colorless mana, and then we're gonna play Expedition map.
Play expedition map.
We are going to crack it.
Crack the expedition map. We have infinite -2.
We're gonna go find Falling Barrens.
Is it at the top? I missed it right there.
We are going to activate Bonder's Ornament to draw a card.
Draw a card. Draw Cloud Post.
We're going to play Crawling Barrens.
I thought we played a land for turn.
No, we didn't.
Oh.
We had the planes that we were going to play, but we didn't play it yet.
Okay.
We're going to put infinite +1/+1 counters on Crawling Barrens.
Okay, we'll just pretend the infinite's there.
And then we are going to probably pass the turn because we don't want to attack with Zerta.
Okay. Pass the turn.
We can mill them if we want to. It's just one card.
Yeah, the middle card. Next turn. Steel Hellkite.
First thing we're gonna do is make some mana with the Basalt Monolith.
Okay.
We're just gonna make until we have 4 mana and an untapped monolith.
Okay.
And we're gonna activate Bonder's Ornament to draw a card.
Draw Monumental Henge.
We're gonna play Monumental Henge. We are going to make some mana with Basalt Monolith and then filter it through Energy Refractor so we can activate the Henge.
Okay. We view top 5. View top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have Glimmer Post, Timeless Dragon, Vexing Bauble, Swords, Expedition Map.
Take the Vexing Bauble.
And Do the rest go on the bottom? Is that what it says?
They go on the bottom in any order, or random order.
I'm just gonna move them here and then put them in bottom random order. Move to bottom of the library, doesn't matter.
Alright, we're gonna make some mana, we're gonna play the bauble, we're gonna crack the bauble.
Play bauble, crack bauble. Draw swords.
So what we were digging for anybody who's wondering, if we find Golos, we can execute the combo kill. We don't have to worry about combat. If we find Oblivion Stone, we can blow up all of the opponent's blockers and get in with an infinitely large Crawling Barrens.
Infinity
If
is
we
big.
find
Sorry to interrupt.
Infinity is probably more than our opponent's life. So what we can do here
question.
is activate.
Would a single fling be any good?
No. We have a combo kill that doesn't require Crawling Bear.
Okay.
So we're gonna tap a block, or we're gonna Swords to Plowshares, one of their creatures.
Yeah. Oh wait, no, we don't.
Well, don't tap the plains. We're gonna use our free mana.
Yeah, infinite mana.
We're gonna Swords to Plowshares a creature. We're gonna tap Zerta and make it so that a creature can't block.
Yep.
And probably the opponent doesn't have more than 2 blockers. So my assumption is this is a turn 5 kill. We've done the thing very hard.
We'll play Steel Hellkite just for shits and giggles.
No.
And if they're not dead, they're going to die this turn.
Yeah, because this turn we get to do the whole thing again. Draw a card with Bonder's Ornament, activate Monumental Henge.
Activate Monumental Henge. That's a great card. View top 5. Monumental Henge, Timeless Dragon, Zerta, Oblivion Stone, Swords to Plowshares.
Alright, grab that Oblivion Stone, make infinite mana, blow up their board, activate Crawling Barrens, and swing it.
Whoop. Move to bottom of the library. Play, do we want to play a land just in case?
In case what? Like they have no blockers and no energy fields and like no moats.
Blow all of those up. Move to graveyard. Move this to graveyard too. And swing with an infinitely large Crawling Barrens, and we win.
Boom.
Alright. That's it.
Alright.
Let's try that again.
Yep, let's do one more, and then we can take an intermission, and then we can come back and do some gameplay.
Absolutely. Alright, let's look at this hand. We have Trench Post, Glimmer Post, Plains, Henge, Baron's Key, and O-Stone.
This is 5 lands. That is not keepable, and none of those lands are even a Black Post.
Okay. Deal another 7. Glimmer Post, Crawling Barrens, Foundry, Fractor, Golos, Swords.
This is maybe reasonable. Like this is better than the last one for sure. So let's try this one and see where it goes.
Okay.
Do you want to put one back or just play it as 7?
Let's play it as 7. Usually with these I do
right,
2 free hands and then...
Yeah, we're gonna play the Glimmer Post.
Game life.
We're gonna play the Foundry. And then we'll pass the turn.
Next turn. Energy Refractor. We have 3 of them.
So many refractors. We're going to play out a refractor.
Play a land and play Refractor.
Well, there's no other way to do it.
We draw Timeless Dragon.
Okay, that's fine.
Next
And then we're
turn.
past turn.
Plains.
Play a plains, tap the 2 colorless lands for an energy refractor.
And we draw Glimmer Post.
And then we're going to Swords to Plowshare or something, because at this point they've probably got a target.
Swords the thing.
Pass the turn.
Cloud Post.
Yeah, definitely. We'll play a Cloud Post. So if the opponent has creatures that we need to block here, we could activate Foundry. But since we just Swords their best threat, we're probably just going to play another Refractor.
Okay. And we draw Zerda.
Yeah.
Next turn.
Nope.
Trench Post.
Let's go ahead and play out the Glimmer Post.
Glimmer Post. We gain 3.
And then I think we wanted to run out Golos here.
Okay.
So tap the 3 Loci.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Golos.
And then we're going to just grab another Cloud Post here. It's pretty close to where I would want a Monumental Hinge. But actually, yeah, let's find a Monumental Hinge.
Okay.
Because we're actually only missing the Monolith before we can combo off.
Does it enter tapped? Yes.
Because of Golos, it does, yeah.
I forgot to shuffle. There we go.
And then go ahead and Plane Cycle the Dragon.
Rock the dragon. Plains.
Yep, and then that's our turn. Yeah, I believe we win the game here. So let's play.
Trench Post.
Hold on. I'm thinking about mana. Yeah, play Trench Post. Tap Cloud Post for 4.
4.
And play Monumental Henge. Or
Okay.
play Moonsilver Key. Sorry, no. Play Moonsilver.
That's what I thought. Moonsilver Key.
I am forgetting what my cards are called. And then we have 2 floating, so use one of it to crack the key.
Crack the key.
And we're going to find Basalt Monolith.
Basalt Monolith in our hand. Nope, in our hand.
We have, yeah. We have 1 colorless floating, so tap the 2 Glimmer Posts and play Basalt Monolith. And then tap the 2 Plains and the Trench Post. And play Zerda. And we are actually representing every combo in our deck right now.
Yeah.
So let's do the fun one, which is the Pyrite Spellbomb Golos.
Okay.
So we're going to make infinite colorless mana and infinite mana of all 5 colors. And we're going to activate Golos.
Alright, Golos 1. That's on top of their cards. Your library and put them in the cost 1, 2, 3.
Go ahead and play all those.
1, 2, 3. Next
And then
Golos.
do it again. All right, so we're not going to play anymore except for, no, don't worry about playing everything else. We're just going to play the Pyrite Spellbomb and do it again.
I'll move you up here. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we got the O-Stone win.
Play the Oblivion Stone. Yeah, play the O-Stone because we don't have one yet. And then activate Golos again.
1, 2, 3.
Alright, yeah. Go ahead again.
Again, Vexing Bauble. Energy Refractor. Elixir Immortality.
Alright, we're definitely not going to play that Vexing Bauble. Go ahead. I mean, we could play it and sack it, but we don't need to. So now we play the Elixir. And now we're just going to activate Golos until our entire deck is in exile. We're going to sack the Pyrite Spellbomb to deal 2 to the opponent.
Donk.
We're going to shuffle our graveyard in with Elixir and gain 5.
Shuffle that in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Move all to library.
And then we're going to activate Golos again. We're going to play the Pyrite Spellbomb. We're going to play the Elixir. We're going to activate Golos again. All right. So now the only cards in our library are going to be Pyrite Spellbomb and Elixir of Immortality. And every time we activate Golos, we're going to hit those. And we're going to deal 2 damage to the opponent and gain 5 life.
Amazing.
And we're just going to keep doing that. If the opponent has Leyline of Sanctity, then we can... well, we don't need to do that. We can just Crawling Barrens and beat them. But yes, if they have Energy Field Rest in Peace, then we O-Stone and beat them. If they have Leyline of Sanctity, then we O-Stone and beat them. If they have Worship, which I haven't seen anybody except me play, but it's a thing that people know about, O-Stone and beat them. We just get to play out all of those cards if we want to. We can make infinite 1/1s or flying 1/1s or 4/4s here. And we can also just it's like infinite life, infinite damage, infinite creatures, infinite spells. It just goes nuts. This is a turn. It's a turn 7, so this was a slow game. But we did play a Swords to Plowshares. We did play some blockers. We had Retrofitter. We gained some life. So it's not like we were doing nothing until we got to this point. We could have made different choices if we needed to. Like, we could have gone for another Glimmer Post if we needed to gain more life with Golos. Or we could have gotten another Cloud Post if we just needed to make more mana and try and spend Golos to hit stuff.
Due to the nature of Infinity, we could have infinite 1/1s, flying 1/1s, and 4/4s.
That is correct.
We could do it twice.
Yeah.
Well, pretty neat.
All right. So if you want to call the deck building section of the stream there, and then we can take or do a little bit of intermission and come back and do some pocket price videos for people.
So before I forget, I want to do the tags for the money mid-range. It's not a +1/1 counters deck. It's not a -1/-1 counter deck. Kind of an Abzan deck, but not really. Not Affinity, not Aggression, not Aggro, not Aikido. What if it is Aikido? Whatever. Not Altruism, not Aristocrats, not Artifacts, not Artifice, not Artifactions, not Auras, not Azorius, not Band, not Battlecruiser, not Barthing Pod, not Blink Flicker, not Blue Moon. It is budget. It's not combo. It's not competitive. Kinda control, sure, why not? Defender. Discard, discover, donation, dredge, dungeon, eggs, enchantments, energy, equipment, esper, extra combat, extra turns, farm, 5 color, flying, Formula X1, goad, Golgari. Good stuff. Yeah, we'll call it good stuff. Grixis, Group Hug, Group Slug, Growth, Gruul, Hate Bears, Help Wanted, Historic, Infect, Midrange, Mill, Miracles, Modified Modular, Monarch, Mono Black, Mono Blue, Mono Green. Reanimator, Simic Snow, Spellslinger, Stack, Stoneblade Storm, Sultai, Super Friends, Tempo, Teamer, Thieves, Tokens, Toolbox, Tron, Turbo, Unmaintained Vehicles, Voltron, Vorthos, Webcam, Wheels, X Spells, and Zoo. Cool. Anyway, so that's all the tags for Money Midrange, which, anyway, so that was the Extreme Machine or FoxPost and Money Midrange. Thank you very much for joining us if you're watching on YouTube and for Twitch. Thank you, Questioning Photograph, for joining us. This episode will be out hopefully Tuesday, July 8th. So if you're watching it on Tuesday, July 8th, congratulations. If you're watching it another day, that's fine too. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it.
No, you have to watch it on July 8th because on July 9th we're deleting it again.
No, we're not doing that again. We've already done it with one video. We're not doing it again.
It was so sad.
I know. Rest in peace, Singer. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you are on YouTube, if you look on the left side of your screen, you will see a playlist of all the other Magic Talk with Toads where we have both deck techs and gameplay as of last week or this week, whatever. As of Tuesday the 1st at 5:30, we have a gameplay video.
We sure do.
And we'll have a gameplay video after this one, which, when we're streaming it, we'll take a brief intermission and then record the gameplay. And then on top of the playlist, you will see a video that is recommended to you. Watch it. It might be cool. And then on the left side, is the fancy cool video for you and the playlist of Magic Talk with Toad. And on the right side is my channel. Please subscribe, leave a comment, like, subscribe, the whole deal. I really appreciate it. We really help. Currently, these videos are averaging at about 20 or so views a pop. A little bit more, a little bit less. Except for one really special one. That's my favorite. It's a baby.
So if you are one of those 20 people, you have earned the right to say you liked this channel before it was cool.
Absolutely.
And that will be valid indefinitely because we will never actually be cool.
What? No! Thank you, everyone, for watching. We really appreciate it. We will talk to you later. Bye!